It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hello, what's happening, everybody? It is showtime. Geno Jones Showtime. I come to you live Monday through Friday, normally 6:30 p.m. Eastern. However, a programming note. Today is probably the last live show until next Monday. Now, we do plan to do a live show tomorrow. That would be the last one before the Thanksgiving holiday. However, circumstances permit or circumstances call for us to possibly do a best of. So, just want to give you a programming note. Today, definitely live edition of the Geno Jones Show. So, possible live edition tomorrow. But if not, the best of course, we're going to observe the Thanksgiving holiday. So that would be, of course, Wednesday. Getting everything ready Thursday. I want you and your family to have a very, very happy Thanksgiving, whoever your family may be. Because let me say this again. We don't get to choose the family that we are born into. Some of us are blessed and we are born into wonderful families. And unfortunately, some of us are not as blessed and we're not born into wonderful families or families that treat us wonderfully. However, you have one choice. You get to choose who you consider family. Yes, you do. So, no matter the family that you're born into or that you've adopted or the family that you have chosen, the people that you have chosen who have earned the right for you to consider family, have a very happy Thanksgiving. Have fun. Don't spend all your money on a Black Friday. And make sure you support, since it's Black Friday, support some Black-owned businesses. How about that? So, all right, let me do this. Let me talk about, it's been a lot of talk about the American Music Awards, which I did not watch. So let me just, off the top, monologue, few main things I want to cover before we wrap it up for today and for the, possibly for the Thanksgiving holiday. So the American Music Awards, which I really don't fool with that much, they are problematic as far as I'm concerned historically. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. Now, I don't care about Wayne Brady hosting. It's great that you got a brother hosting the American Music Awards. Now, next time you need the king of MCs, holler at me. I might consider it. But however, I got issues with the American Music Awards, all right? Like I said, I don't care about Wayne Brady hosting the show. I don't care about Lionel Richie receiving the Icon Award. Shout out to Lionel Richie. Also, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Saturday night. I saw the show live. It was spectacular. Shout out to my man Lenny Kravitz, who inducted Lionel Richie into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And shout out to Lionel Richie for shouting out the Commodores. Because like he said, without the Commodores, there would be no Lionel Richie. And that's damn true. So, shout out to Lionel Richie, a.k.a. Mr. Ed. Hello, I'm Mr. Ed. I'm sorry, I couldn't pass the joke up, all right? If you can imagine, that's old. Google the TV show, Mr. Ed. I used to say, Lionel Richie was like, Mr. Ed. If you put a mustache and an afro on Mr. Ed, you'd have Lionel Richie. All right, I know. Hey, come on, we got to have some fun, okay? Listen, Lionel Richie's a bad dude, okay? All jokes aside. So when he favors Mr. Ed with a fro and a mustache, I digress. I can't help myself. Lionel's an incredible songwriter, just dynamic performer, just excellent sing, balladeer. The brother's bad. Just simply put, Lionel Richie is an icon, one of the greatest ever. But I don't care about the American Music Awards giving Lionel Richie an Icon Award. And the fact that Stevie Wonder performed a medley of Lionel's hits. That's great. I love Stevie. I used to work for Stevie's radio station. I did a morning show for him. I was the host of a morning show, my own morning show, working for Stevie Wonder way back in the 90s, early 90s. I don't care about all that. But to cancel the tribute that the American Music Awards had in honor of Michael Jackson's 40th anniversary of the release of Thriller, which was released, I believe, November 30th, 1982. So you're going to do a special 40th anniversary tribute. By the way, there's a Michael Jackson 40th Thriller anniversary. You can get the vinyl, you can get the CD, and I'm sure you can download it. So you got to do that. I'm going to get the CD, and I'm going to get the vinyl, and I'm going to download it, because I'm that big of a Michael Jackson fan. So they were going to do this tribute to Michael Jackson's Michael Jackson's album Thriller's 40th anniversary, and they were going to have Chris Brown, who everybody knows, and Chris Brown has told any and everybody that would listen that there would be no Chris Brown. That's on video. You can Google that video. There would be no Chris Brown without Michael Jackson. And I get it. Listen, I can hear you. Yeah, but he beat up Rihanna. Nobody was harder. Nobody went harder on Chris Brown than I did. I got criticism. People were saying, some people, man, Geno, you too hard on the dude. Well, no, I'm not too hard when it comes to domestic violence, any kind of violence against women, anyone, but violence against women hits me. It hits me personally, and I've shared that story, and I witnessed it. I witnessed it with my own mom, to where at 4 years old, I was trying to fight a grown man. My mother was pregnant with my baby sister. So domestic violence is very personal to me. Violence against women, very personal. As time goes on, Chris Brown has addressed it. We find out that he and Rihanna were in a volatile relationship, which does not excuse Chris Brown, no matter how much Rihanna was putting her hands on Chris, it doesn't justify what he did. And I talked about it in real time. You can probably find some episodes of that radio show on YouTube. Just Google it, search it. Geno Jones Show talking about Chris Brown. All right. I said this to Chris. I said to Chris, I gave him the advice that my mother gave me. That when it gets to that point, don't put your hands on a woman. Now, if you have to defend yourself, to say, just get her off of you, get away from her. When it gets that bad, she said, Jeannie, just leave. That's going to hurt more than anything. That will hurt more than you putting your hands on her. If you leave, just leave. If she's being violent toward you. And that's the advice that I gave to Chris Brown. Nonetheless, Chris Brown, one of the great entertainers of all time. And we're not going to have a conversation about Michael, because these allegations about, child molestation, they have been debunked. The two white guys that made these claims, you had the FBI to investigate him. You had a trial. So you've had all kind of journalists, do the digging. And these claims were debunked. As a matter of fact, if I'm correct, one of the guys basically kind of retracted or, said, well, nah, it didn't really happen that way. You can Google it. Don't take my word for it. You can find it. Google, or even better, Google Scholar. Because when you use Google Scholar, you get references where the information came from. So you all, listen, the American Music Awards, you did Chris Brown dirty. And I'm not fooling with you anymore. That's why it's important that we as a community, we as black people, the African diaspora, not just here in America, just globally, that we own and control our own media. So we can tell our own stories. Truthfully, fully, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything and everywhere in between. Not from somebody else's perspective, or you have other people that have an agenda, or they want to reinforce a certain narrative, or they want to reinforce a certain stereotype or prejudice. We own our own media. We tell our own stories. We can honor our own greats. Now, if y'all want to be a part of it, great. But we've got our own. So the American Music Awards, you did them dirty. I get it. And all the performers, Listen, I would have loved if all the black performance was like, you're going to do him dirty and you really going to dishonor Michael Jackson? We're not going to mess with you all. Now, look, Cardi performed. I think Lizzo got an award. So yeah, I'm not going to come for you all. I would have liked if you handled it differently, but you got to make your choice. But I'm just telling you how I would handle it. That's me. You know, we gotta stick together. You know, we gotta stand. Sometimes we just gotta make a stance. You know, it's a saying like all money ain't good money. All attention. Sometimes we seek the attention and the approval and the gaze, the attention, the affection and admiration outside of our own community. And we've been conditioned and trained to do that. That, you know, we approving of ourselves is not enough, that we have to just go out and get the approval of white America. You don't have to. Be the best version of yourself. And you don't need validation from anybody else, regardless of their ethnicity or gender or whatever. But we've been conditioned, you know, historically, well, you know, the white man's water is colder, and you know, if the white man says it, it must be true. That has been part of the evil, the sinister nature of white nationalism and this whole ideology of whiteness, which is some made up bullshit anyway. We talked about that on many episodes. You can go back and Google it. There's no such thing biologically. There's no DNA that identifies white. It'll identify maybe the region of Europe you come from, German, Eastern European, Greece, Italian, Italy, Mediterranean, Asian. It's not going to say white. There's no DNA that comes back and says, oh, you're about 85% white. No. Try it. It doesn't exist in biology, in science, in the human DNA. There's nothing in the human genome that is identified as white. Just not. There's nothing in the human genome that identifies any of us by a color. So, the point I'm trying to make here is that sometimes, and look, we all want to be recognized by our peers, but let's celebrate and honor each other. And we can honor other people because we as black people are like that. I mean, you've had plenty of white artists that's gotten Soul Train Music Awards and recognition. Oh my God. You can go back, God, what? I know at least to the 70s, you'd had groups like Average White Band and Rare Earth. We could go on in the 80s, my man George Michael when he was in Wham, the Police, folks love Sting, Phil Collins. I mean, you got Justin Timberlake that really tried to bite on the cultures. As a matter of fact, let me do this. I'm glad I went down this path. Let me shout out, let me acknowledge Eminem, Mr. Marshall Mathers. Eminem displayed what an ally. So for all the white people that want to know, what is an ally? What is an ally? A person that does not engage in anti-blackness, and a white person that acknowledges the influence, the inspiration that black culture has had on his or her success. Eminem was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame along with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And shout out to my dudes, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. They were like some of my early guests on the Geno Jones show right here. So shout out to Jimmy and Terry. Man, dude, you all are like some of the greatest. As a matter of fact, there's no production duo greater than Jam and Lewis. And there have been some greats, Gamble and Huff, and Motown. You had Holland Dozier Holland, but there's been no duo of producers greater than Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And Gamble and Huff with Philadelphia International, all the OJ's hits and those Philly Teddy Pendergrass, but Jam and Lewis, unparalleled. But anyway, Let me get back to Eminem. So Eminem was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you know what Eminem did? Eminem pulled out like a paper, like not just a paper. I don't know if it was stapled together or what. It was like at least 3 or 4 sheets. And he went down each and every name from the A's to the Z's of all the rap and hip hop artists that influenced him, that he grew up listening to. Not just the male rappers, females. He shouted out MC Light and Queen Latifah. He shouted out Rakim. Man, he shouted out so many. Hell, I'm black. He shouted out some rappers. I'm like, who the hell was that? That is what an ally looks like. So big shout out to Eminem. Thank you, Eminem. And that is why the rap and hip hop community is always respected. Not to mention, he's one of the greatest rappers, period, full stop, ever. He's in the pantheon of one of the greats. You can't hate on this kid because he earned it. He earned it out in them streets in Detroit, battling against them brothers, those rap battles. And Dr. Dre realized it. Dr. Dre wouldn't have co-signed on him just because he was white. Couldn't be white notes. As a matter of fact, he really had to have skills. Because if Dre's reputation, Dr. Dre, man, you producing this whack-ass white boy. So but when Dre heard him, he was like, oh my God. As a matter of fact, Dre didn't realize Dre inducted Eminem. And if I remember hearing Dre correctly, I think Jimmy Iovine, shout out to Jimmy Iovine, he was also inducted. Legendary, he was a record producer, but legendary, he ran Interscope. He was the owner. He was the CEO of Interscope Records, which was a label that Eminem was on. And Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre got together, and then they came out with Beats by Dre and sold that to Apple and became billionaires, and I digress. But I don't know if Dre even knew that Eminem was white when he first heard him. He was like, man, who is this dude? But shout out to Eminem for honoring the culture, our culture. But Eminem is a part of our culture because he's always respected. He's always, gave props and big ups to those that came before him, that inspired him, that he wanted to emulate, that he admired, that he listened to, that influenced him. That's what an ally looks like to my white brothers and sisters. Just go back and watch the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and watch Eminem's inductance, his acceptance speech. Big shout out to M. Mad respect for you, M. Mad props. Always respected your skills, could never hate on your skills no matter what. But I saw a side of you Saturday night, said a lot about who you really, really are. In spite of all the other, personal, complicated, because that Eminem is another one. Very complicated life. Very complicated life. He's admitted it. He admitted it on, he almost OD'd, I think, what was it, 2007 or whatever it was? Was it 2007 or 2017? I think he said 2007. He mentioned it. He talked about how he almost OD'd. He almost killed himself on drugs. So shout out to Eminem. All right. So now let me. There's something else I want to cover. Let me say happy birthday today, November 21st. Michael Strahan, one of the hosts on Good Morning America and Super Bowl champion for the New York Giants, shut down Shady Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots. Back in 2007, they thought they were going to have an undefeated season, and bam! Michael Strahan and Eli Manning, and the brother that caught the ball and pinned it on his helmet. Michael Strahan, one of the co-hosts of Good Morning America, and he is if he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, he should be. He will be. Michael Strahan is 51 today. Ken Griffey Jr., one of the greatest baseball players ever. He is in the Baseball Hall of Fame, 53 today. And rapper, Afrobeats and R&B singer, I should say, really. Afrobeats and R&B singer, my man DeVito. The veto is 30 today, the big 3-0. So before I wrap up today's show, I want to talk about, first of all, I just want to send, for those who believe in the power of prayer, I just want to send prayers, and I want to lift up the families of, I believe at least, at last count, it was 5. Now, it might be more because I haven't had a chance to check any of my sources. At least 5 people were murdered at a club that, it was a club, it was a gay, primarily gay, lesbian, LGBTQ community club, a place. I did hear one, I heard one of the patrons, it was a man, a gay man, that mentioned that it was their safe haven up in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So this evil being, we found out that his father is a politician in Colorado. This part of the whole MAGA cult that's espoused a lot of homophobia, transphobia, saying that trans people and the gay lesbian community and LGBTQ community, pedophiles and preying on just evil, hateful. But what that does, that puts a target on gay men and lesbian women and trans people and queer people. That puts more of a target on their back. So Charles Barkley said something to the effect that, the gay people, the black people are the worst when it comes to treating gay people wrong. No, Charles Barkley. I know you just signed a $100 million deal with TNT and you do know basketball, but there's a lot of stuff you talk about that you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. And this is when you pulled out of your ass. Because if you think that black people are the worst, you don't even understand history. You haven't even read. You haven't paid attention. First of all, this incident in Colorado Springs, where you had this dude, this was a white person that went in and murdered at least 5 people from the LGBTQ community, and would have killed more if some of the people in the club didn't get the gun away from him and subdue him. He was going to kill more. Have you heard about the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida? Google that. That wasn't a black person that went in there and murdered all those gay. Primarily, I think it was a gay bar for gay men. Even though you probably had some, maybe some lesbian, bisexual, but that was a bar. That was a bar for the LGBTQ community. And the person that went in there, just Google that. The Pulse nightclub in Orlando. Wasn't that long ago? Maybe about 2017, 2018? 5-6 years ago. Wasn't that long, Charles? Google this name, Chucky. Matthew Shepard. Ironically, a gay man in Colorado that was murdered. Hate crime. That wasn't a black person. So no, Charles Barkley, black people are not the worst. Do we have black people who are homophobic and transphobic? Yes. And Charles Barkley, I'm going to bet you something. Since you like to keep it real, you like to tell it like it is and everything. You speak your mind. So I'm going to challenge you. All right? I remember watching you play basketball in the 80s. Late 80s, early 90s. I don't know. You probably, Gen Xer, 50 plus. So we rocking in the same generation. I would venture to say when you were playing basketball at Auburn, you probably said some things that would be considered homophobic now. Because you know what? So did I. Wasn't any such thing as homophobic. You make jokes about gay dudes, call them the F word, and sissies and punks and all that. And it wasn't just a part. It wasn't just something that came from the black community. White folks said it and worse. And they were in power where they could discriminate against gay men and lesbian women or bisexual men and women. And God forbid if you were trans. They didn't even use the word. Well, they had different words for people from the trans community. So I would bet any amount of money, if you are man enough to admit the truth, you probably said some things back in the 80s, like a lot of us did. Jokes, call somebody, guy you didn't like, oh, you little F. Because a lot of us did, including myself. And as, you go grow the plan, I want to say, the plan, the idea is trying to figure out which way I want to say this, how I want to phrase it. But ideally, as we get older and we age, we get wiser. Now, I kind of paused and hesitated and almost stuttered on it a little bit because some of us don't get wiser with age. Some of us get stupider. Some of us get more ignorant and hateful. But in theory, as we age, we get older, we should get wiser. The word is evolve, evolution. Our thoughts, our knowledge base, just understanding people. You work with people who are gay or lesbian or bisexual or queer or trans. You work with them, you do business with them. They work for you. They're in your family. They're your son, they're your daughter, they're your nephew, they're your niece, they're your grandchild. And you get to see that they are people, they're human. And they have personalities, some have beautiful spirits, some have, hateful spirits. They're no different than straight people. They got the same, right? You got some that are huge, big hearts that will give you anything, and then some are selfish and will try to con you. You realize who they are attracted to sexually has nothing to do with who they are as a person and their character or lack thereof. You got some very generous, great, giving, loving, positive people from the gay and lesbian community, just like you do from the straight community. Then you got some evil, hateful, bigoted people in the gay and lesbian community. And if you don't believe me, ask some gays and lesbians. You got racism in the gay and lesbian community. Ask some black gay and lesbian people that you know are in your family. They'll tell you. You've got some racist, bigoted gays and lesbians, which is like, how you going to oppress anybody when folks want to oppress you and look at you inferior in an inferior way, that's a whole nother conversation. But the same thing with black folks. It's like we all can have certain prejudice, but racism is when your prejudice is attached to power to oppress a group of people. That's racism. For my white brothers and sisters, well, black folks are racist. No. Collectively in this society, black people have never been, and still to this day are not in a position to be racist. We can have bigoted feelings, we can be very prejudiced, but collectively we are not in a position where our prejudice, along with our power, can oppress like all white people and create laws to make it hard for you to finance a home or to get insurance for a home or a car, or to make it the way you as white people get inferior medical treatment. The legal system doesn't treat you less than. The education system doesn't treat you less than. The business community doesn't treat you less than like it does black people. That's a different show. So Charles Barkley, no. No, 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 no. Next time, think. I know you don't always do that. And I got love for you, Charles, but I'm just keeping it 1,000. Stop. Stop saying what a lot of these racist white people want you to say about black people. Being their mouthpiece. Always, not always, but more times than not. I know you don't mean any harm, but you just, come on, brother. Stay in your lane. Sometimes you just do need to stay in your lane a little bit. Or talk to somebody that's an expert, that's read books, that's got references. Or you know what? Just try Google Analytics yourself. That will help you out. Don't just stop at Google, then go to Google Analytics. So when you do Google Analytics, like I said, so it'll tell you something, and then it'll give you like the references, where they got the information from. Try it. You might like it. But our prayers go out to the members, the family, surviving family members, and any survivors that was out of the nightclub in Colorado Springs that was just brutally attacked by some very hateful person, because who they loved, who they find attractive sexually, it's none of your business. None of yours. Unless you unless you suppressing something inside of yourself and you fighting against it, and then you need to get a therapist and work that thing out. That's what you need to do. So, to the families of the victims, I lift you up in prayer. To the survivors, I lift you up in prayer. To the gay and lesbian, trans, queer, bisexual community, I lift you up in prayer. I have gay members. I have members of my family in the LGBTQ community. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. And they're just people. You really, you wouldn't know if no one really told you. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you. And God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Normally, however, shout out to my mother, Mary Dixon. Hey, to the chef, Edwin the Chef Wright, my dude, one of my co-workers. So I do a radio show Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, East Coast Time, star997.com. You can listen. You don't have to be here in the Charleston Metro. You can just go to star997.com and listen to me online. Or everybody here, I've been here for about 18 years, so everybody knows the station show's been number one for the majority of the last nearly 18 years. And our company has a gospel station, number one gospel show. Edwin the Chef Wright, beautiful brother. Man, he's just, like I said, we don't get to pick the family that we are born into, but we do get a chance to pick who we consider family. And Chef, you already know, and I'm telling the world, you are family, my brother. You are truly my brother. We just didn't come out of the same womb, but we are brothers, and I thank God for you. And the agape love that you have for a brother, because you are the dude, and just a hell of a talent. And all y'all that want to quote scripture, see, I'm going to get him on the show, because a lot of y'all got this whole thing with Christianity twisted, and some of these same hateful people that hate the gay and lesbian and trans and queer and bisexual community and want to banish them to hell. I still say, I'm still looking for the Bible that's got the point system for sin. I still haven't seen it. Like, oh, you can be an adulterer, but if you're a heterosexual adulterer, that's worse than a monogamous gay person. I haven't seen that point system yet. Please show me the way it's like, murderer is one thing, but oh my God, if you're gay or lesbian, there is no point system. Sin is sin. I'm gonna bring Edwin the Chef Wright, Pastor Wright, to talk to you, to educate you all, and really educate you all about this whole Christianity thing, and this white evangelical Christianity, as it's called, which is empowered and embedded in itself, not embedded, it's always been a part of this whole white nationalism movement from way back in the day. The Klan called themselves white Christians, trying to protect the white race. We're white Christians, and God told us. Really? Is that what your God told you? Well, you are talking to a different God. And do you know that your Christianity that you were talking, your remix version, you know it is a remix version of Christianity. Oh, by the way, and did you know, to all these white evangelical Christians that embrace hatred, racism, and homophobia, and misogyny and sexism, you do understand that the origins of Christianity are on the continent of Africa. Google, tell you what, how about Google reference Coptic Christians, Christianity, Ethiopia, Africa. The origin, Christianity originated on the continent of Africa. Oh, wow. I bet that made your head explode, didn't you? So, anyway, shout out to Chef, who's watching the show, my brother. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Even if you don't get a chance to spend it with anybody. Man, if God allows you to wake up and be like, as my grandfather said, any day above ground is a good day. And be thankful for the smallest things we have, just the gift of life, to be able to wake up and to see and breathe and think. Even those who are in a sick bed, just the gift of life for another day. Hopefully you can spend it with someone that you love. It's precious. It really is. Life is such a precious gift. Don't take it for granted. And don't take the people that mean the most to you for granted. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Let me just say, happy Thanksgiving. I give thanks to each and every person that has watched me tonight for the first time, or that has watched every episode I have done in the last 2 years. I give thanks to each and every one of you. I thank God for you. That is one of the main things, along with my family and my friends. I give thanks to you, because everybody watching me right now in real time, or if you're watching me, whenever you're watching me, if it's Thanksgiving and you're watching me over Thanksgiving dinner instead of watching the football game, or you're watching me Friday because you're not trying to be bothered with black, whenever, if you're watching me while you are preparing your Thanksgiving meal, or maybe somebody's sitting in the back seat of the car and you're driving to see your family cross country, and you're watching me on your tablet, your iPad, or your smartphone, I thank you. And I thank God for you. Happy Thanksgiving. I love each and every one of you. I really do. And Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. So we'll definitely see you a week from today. There's a chance. So peek in at 6:30. There's a chance. But we got some turkey giveaways. Got some major events that I just learned about today. Try to always give to those that are less fortunate, because but for the grace of God, it could be me and my family. And I've been so very blessed. I give thanks to God. It's truly, man, you're talking about a blessed, charmed life. I got praying grandparents, and I got a praying mother that's watching me right now in real time. So I give thanks to them. And my daughters and Damaris, so much to give thanks for. And I give thanks for you once again. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.